The awful thing is, and this is why I had to leave the NHS in this country, the awful thing is that those doctors who think for themselves, who step outside nice guidelines, get sanctioned by the regulatory bodies. And the regulatory bodies are conflicted. They have vested interests in big pharma, as do government. And doctors get sucked into this system whereby they daren't step outside, the regulations guidelines, or they lose their job, which means they can't pay their mortgages. Their kids can't go to
Yeah,
school.
yeah.
And for some doctors, it's been a disaster for them. I was very fortunate because during the 80s and the 90s, I worked within the NHS. I was developing these ideas on allergy and diets and nutrition and detox regimes. So in parallel with that, I was slowly building up an independent practice, so that by 2000, I was able to jump and just work as an independent doctor. So that meant that when the General Medical Council came after me, not because any patient complained, I have to say, it meant that I was not in risk of losing my job, and therefore I could stand up to them, I could take them on, and I continue to do so to date.
So when you explain what you just talked about, it makes me think or question if the medical system even wants people to get well anymore.
I really don't think it does. I mean, when I went into independent practice, I thought that the doctors would be looking for this new information. Would love to hear that we can reverse pathology, we can cure patients, we can relieve symptoms through simple elimination diets, nutritional supplements, and detox regimes. And I set up a website. So, which is still runs today. So as I learn new information, I push it on the website. I write books. I'd love to put all my books on the website, but my publisher won't let me. And they would welcome that new knowledge, and I was astonished to find that they did not. Now, I have spent decades trying to talk to doctors and teach them with very, very little progress. So this is why I'm so pleased to do interviews with people like yourself, because this has got to be a grassroots revolution.
Right.
This has got to be a change of thinking at the grassroots, where people realise that it is within their power to reverse their pathology. They can slow down their cancers, reverse their dementias, reverse their heart disease by dint of very, very simple interventions. And these should be available for all. So, I'm getting old and tired now these days, and I see my job as I need to give people, as I call it, the rules of the game and the tools of the trade so they can do it themselves. I need to empower people to do that. In fact, I've just been out in Poland. I did a conference out there, and there's a Polish saying that says, if you want to count on anything, count on yourself. I.e., do it yourself, work it out from first principles, and put in place the interventions. And it's almost a kind of selection pressure, because, as I'm sure you're aware, the problem that is facing the world today is overpopulation. It's an issue the politicians don't like to grasp. But what is happening in the modern world, the disastrous food supply, the increasing toxicity of the Western world, the declining level of micronutrients, is a sort of selection pressure.
Yeah.
And those people who've got the intelligence to work it out and the discipline to put it in place, those people will survive. So I want to give these people, as many as I possibly can, the tools they need to allow them and their families to survive well into the future.